Hey, Bethel Church, welcome, both San Jose and Santa Clara campus. Big shout out to both of you, as well as everyone who's a guest, who's tuned in. We're so glad that you are here, and of course, He is risen. He is risen indeed, and He is still risen. When I watched that video, especially for the first time when I watched it, I found myself really emotional. And I paused and I'm saying, okay, what's going on here, Frank? Why are you so emotional about this video? And then it dawned on me, it just kind of hit me, is expressions of joy like that are just in short supply these days, especially today as we battle as a world. Think about that. As we battle together as a world, this unseen enemy called COVID-19. And so often you just don't see the overwhelming joy that we see in that video. And it really prompted in me a question that I wanted to raise to all of you today on this Easter Sunday. Why should Easter spark such joy in times like these? It's a fair question. Why should the supernatural resurrection of Jesus matter? Why should it matter to our world today? Why should it matter right now? Why should it matter to you, and why should it matter to me? And I really want to tackle that question, and we're not going to just tackle it today, but over the next several weeks. We're going to look at why and how the physical and the supernatural resurrection of Jesus, why and how it actually awakens in us the building blocks for a life that can experience joy. Don't miss that. The building blocks of a life that can experience joy. Not a perfect life, not by a long shot. Not a life that never experiences struggle or never experiences sorrow. That's not being honest about the world in which we live. Nevertheless, it's a life that's marked by joy in the middle of all the stuff. Why is that true? You see, joy is always the result of something else. If you and I try to seek after joy, we try to find it, we'll miss it every time. But specifically, as we look at the story today, the Easter story, the story of Jesus' resurrection, we are reminded again, it's the reality of the resurrection that ultimately brings joy. Think about it. If He can overcome death, our greatest enemy, He can help us overcome whatever it is we might be facing in life. Death is overcome by life. And therefore, you and I can experience joy in an imperfect world. And we're calling this new series Awaken. And my goal today is not to make the case for the reality of the resurrection. For those of you that might be tuning in and you're skeptical today, maybe you're struggling today, maybe you're doubtful today, maybe you would say, you know what, Frank, I'm an agnostic. I'm not sure God even exists, or I'm an atheist. I don't believe God exists. First of all, let me just say, thanks for tuning in. You're always welcome here at Bethel. So thanks for tuning in today, but I also want to challenge you to explore the evidence of Jesus' physical resurrection. And a great place to start is a little book, and I brought it along with me here today, The Case for Easter by Lee Strobel. There's lots of great research and resources that are out there, but what I love about this, as you can see, it's really small, and it's easy to understand. And I'll tell you what, I'll help you on your journey to discovery. We'll send you a free book, so just let us know. If you're a guest today, you can have a free book. All you have to do is let us know. Go to hello@bethel.org, hello@bethel.org, and just type in there Easter book. And you'll receive a link, you'll fill out that information, and we will send you a free copy of that book. So I hope that you'll do that. So what are the building blocks to joy, right? We're going to look at 4 of them over the next 4 weeks. They are all based on the reality of Jesus' resurrection. Without the reality of the resurrection, we cannot achieve or experience these 4 building blocks that actually lead us to a life of joy. The first one today, this great Easter Sunday, is peace. How is it that God awakens us to His peace for our lives? Jesus made some radical statements, some radical promises surrounding His resurrection and this idea of peace. And I mean, what He said changes everything. It changes everything about how we live in an imperfect world today. And I want to just share two of those comments that he made literally hours before he would be brutalized and crucified. And he's entering the darkest time of his life. The first one is in John 14. The second one is in John 16. So you have your Bibles, you have it on smart device. You want to turn to John, the gospel account of John. I hope that you will today. These are profound statements. John 14 and verse 27. I am leaving you a gift. This is what he tells his friends. I'm leaving you a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give as a gift, the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. Again, in John 16, verse 33, and this is all essentially the same scene, hours before his betrayal and his crucifixion. And he, again, speaks to his friends, and he says, I've told you all this so that you can have peace in me. Here on earth, you'll have many trials and sorrows. Jesus was always real and honest about what we face in this life. You'll have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world. These are truly remarkable claims if you think about them. I mean, I've got a gift for you, Jesus says. In his darkest hour, I've got a gift. It's peace of mind and heart. How priceless is that gift? Who wouldn't give their right arm to have that gift, especially in today's world? In John 16, he says, look, I've told you these things so you can have peace in me. You can have peace in me. In this world, you'll have trouble, okay? In this world, you'll have trouble, but take heart. That Greek phrase there, literally be courageous. One Bible translation said, be brave. Be brave. Live confidently. Take heart. Why? Because I've overcome the world. The peace that Jesus gives is a building block that leads to joy in our lives. And if you and I don't have his peace, if we don't have the order or the security, the assurance of God's love and peace in our hearts, we won't experience peace in our world. What Jesus offered his friends essentially was the assurance that no matter what happens, you can trust me. And the reason that was true is because that was secured by the resurrection. It was secured by the resurrection. In fact, he would say in John chapter 14, and we'll look at it in a little bit, he says, look, trust in God, trust also in me. So I invite you to post this today. It'll be up on your screen. More than anything, I just invite you to tuck it away in your heart. Peace is always tied to where I place my confidence or trust. Always. You see, real peace isn't based on something or someone that can be taken from us, that's in this world. And this is why Jesus could speak so confidently in the middle of his darkest hour. Hey, peace I give to you, peace of mind and heart. I mean, if Jesus' peace was a stock that was publicly traded, this thing would be through the roof today, through the roof in our world. And Jesus comes along and he makes this invitation to his friends, and he makes the same invitation to you and me. It is an invitation to allow him to awaken us to his peace in our lives. So how do we get there? Well, I want to leave you with three closing thoughts. Here they are. Awakened to God's peace, and there's an outline that you can fill in as well. There should be an outline that's on your screen there. Number one, turn to Jesus. Turn to Jesus. There is a difference between simple and simplistic. This is simple. How often do we miss it? I'm not just talking about those who are pre-Christians. I'm talking about people who say they are Christians. How often do we turn to everything else? We turn to other things, other stuff, other activities, other people, other than Jesus. How often do we do that? Often God is this last resort instead of my first step. It's the next relationship. That's what's going to bring me peace. That's what's going to bring joy in my life. It's the next job. It's more money. It's the next vacation. It's this. It's that. It's when the virus is under control. When the virus is finally under control, then I'll be able to have peace. Then I'll be able to experience joy. I'll be able to experience joy. Well, I'm not saying any of these things are even bad. What I am saying is none of them are big enough. These types of hopes, these types of dreams, these types of confidences, if you will, they're just not big enough to sustain the kind of peace that brings joy in a broken world. They just don't get the job done. Boy, a long time ago, a guy named Blaise Pascal, a really smart guy, a French mathematician, he was a physicist and he was a theologian. He lived in the 1600s and he coined the following phrase, and he was absolutely right. This is what he said: there is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each man, and I would add woman, which cannot be satisfied by any created thing, but only by God the Creator, made known through Jesus Christ. Turn to Jesus. Give up control. Number 2, give up control. I turn to Jesus. I give up control. Most people I know like having control. Yours truly right here. Or at least the illusion of control. What does it look like to give up control to Jesus in our crazy world? Well, let me try and illustrate it for you in something that is embedded in my psyche as a parent who raised teenagers. All 3 of our kids were born very close together, and so consequently there was about a 4-year period, 3.5, 4-year period, where I was teaching all of them. They were all in high school, and I was teaching them all how to drive. Well, I'll never forget our daughter, who was the youngest, Jamie, had received her permit. All the kids were pumped about driving. All of them thought they already knew how to drive before they knew how to drive. She was excited to drive. Laura and I were not as excited as she was to have her driving. But at any rate, we took her in a church parking lot just like we did the boys, and got her around. She got comfortable and all of that. And I said, okay, we're going out on the open road. Here we go. There's a road that wasn't too far from our church. I knew it was a road she as well as her brothers were going to have to navigate pretty regularly. It was a fairly steep incline or decline, depending on which way you were on the road. A long straight, but going up or going down. And were some horrible accidents that had been on that road. So I wanted her to have confidence in navigating this. So I told her, I said, look, now, you're going to come. I didn't care about the incline part, but when she's coming down the road, I said, in order for you to maintain your speed when you're on this road, I said, you got to cover your brake with your foot, and then you got to gently press on it. You don't want to hit it too hard, but you want to make sure your foot is right there, covering your brake, and then that will help you maintain your speed. So we're heading down that road, and I'm reminding her on a few times of what I'd already shared with her a few other times. Cover your brake, press on it, cover your brake, press on it. By now, I'm pressing on the floor of the car, okay? As if that's going to help. And I'm gently, stealthily moving my left hand over to the emergency brake on my 1996 Honda Accord. I will never forget this day. And I'm telling her again, and you got to cover your brake, you got to press on it gently in order for you to maintain your speed. And finally, she looks over at me and she says, Dad, you're making me nervous. And I'm thinking, man, you're making me nervous. And but finally, after doing that on a few different occasions, and additional gray hair that arrived instantly, I chose to let go. I let go of the illusion that I was actually in control, because I wasn't. And I allowed Jamie to navigate us both down the hill toward our appointed destination. So it is with Jesus and us. Jesus was a perfect model of giving up control of his life, his will, and his future to the Father. And he invites us to do the exact same thing with him. The reality is there aren't all that many things that are in our control anyways. Experiencing the peace that Jesus promised requires that we give up control to him. That's why he says, I leave you peace of mind and heart. That's why he says the peace that I give is a gift that the world cannot give. I turn to Jesus, I give up control. I trust in him. That's number 3. I turn to Jesus, I give up control to him, and then I trust in him. I turn to Jesus, give up control, and trust in him. This brings us full circle to where we started. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Peace is always tied to where you place your confidence, where you place your trust, where you place your hope. I referenced John chapter 14 in the words of Jesus earlier, and I want to share 3 of those verses. It's verses 1 through 3. Jesus said to his friends, "Don't let your heart be troubled. Trust in God, trust also in me. There was more than enough room in my Father's house. If this were not so, would I have not told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I will come and get you, so that you will always be with me where I am." And he was talking about heaven. Jesus' resurrection is the guarantee, not merely a better life, but a changed life. A life that's fully alive. A body, soul, spirit, fully alive. A life that is forever. It's a forever life. And this changes everything. And it brings peace to us in an upset world. And I want to close with a true story that I came across. It happened just a few weeks ago, March 23rd, the story broke. It's went viral. It's amazing what God's doing during this pandemic, by the way. Absolutely amazing. The work of His presence in people's lives is profound during this pandemic. This story has to do with a gentleman named Llewellyn Urban Lorenzo. He's a 38-year-old physician who practices medicine in Milan, Italy. Of course, Italy has been ravaged by this pandemic. And his story got translated into English, and then it totally went viral. And I want to share some of it with you today. This is what he wrote. He says, "Until 2 weeks ago, we and many of my colleagues were atheists. We 100% believe that science excludes God because we are doctors. I used to look at my parents at church and mock them. A 75-year-old clergyman arrived here at his hospital 9 days ago." In fact, there's a picture of this article, and I don't know if this is the priest when he is being wheeled into the hospital, but at least you can see that picture. It's the picture that came along with the article. He goes on, he says, this priest or this clergyman was a poor man. He was struggling to breathe. He was battling COVID-19. But he also had a Bible in his hand. He reads it to the patients who are dying. He places the Bible in the hands of some, and he said, "We looked at him intently." Dr. Lorenzo continued, "As humans, all of us reach our limits. There's nothing," and this is his statement, he said, "there's nothing we can do except increase the death toll of people we care about." Then he said, "We began to notice the priest's work in the hospital." And he says the following, "We began to feel that God begins where man ends." That God begins where man ends. Dr. Lorenzo said, "As a result of the priest's influence in our lives," and I quote, "we who were atheists until yesterday now pray to God for peace. Yesterday, that 75-year-old priest died. He helped to give us peace we never expected in just 9 days, when all hope was shattered. Pray for us," he says, "to help care for the sick. For the courage that we supposed to be lost has somehow returned." Dr. Lorenzo closed this way, "I will live like that priest until my last breath for others." Atheist doctors in a hopeless situation turn to Jesus. Thank God for medical training. I thank God for the sciences. It's not where they turned. They turned to Jesus. They gave up control to Him. They turned to Jesus. They gave up control, and then they trusted in Him. They put their confidence in Him. They put their hope in Him. They turned to Jesus, give up control, and trusted him. And they were awakened by God's peace in their life, a peace they never saw coming, a peace that they didn't expect in that situation in their world. And the same can be true for you and for me, because he is still risen. Would you pray with me today? Jesus, thank you that you are still risen, that you are alive, that you are at work today in the lives of people. And I pray in this moment, this is an Easter moment. This is a moment where you want to break in on the hearts and minds of people everywhere, from those who doubt and struggle, from those, Lord, that may have no hope, no faith whatsoever in you, to times for those that have had faith in you, but right now it's waning. And I pray in this moment that you break in by the power of your Spirit. Let your great peace flood every heart, every mind. And friend, if you've never received Jesus into your life, I want to invite you to pray a simple prayer that will welcome his peace into your life. Would you pray with me right now? All you got to do is pray wherever you are. You're in front of a computer screen, or you're at a coffee shop, wherever you might be. Just pray. Jesus, I come to you just as I am today, and I pray that you would forgive me for living my life apart from you. That's what gets us in trouble. Come into my life. Be my forgiver. Be my leader. And then flood me with your peace as I keep turning to you, giving up control, and then trusting in you. Amen. If you prayed that prayer, would you please let us know today? We want to help you on your spiritual journey. And we'll give you some free resources. We'll show you next steps. So I hope that you'll take some time to just let us know. hello@bethel.org. hello@bethel.org. And all you have to do is say, I prayed the prayer. I prayed the prayer. Maybe you rededicate your life to Christ right now. Maybe you're coming back to faith. Maybe it's a brand new experience for you. But let us know today, because you have a family here that wants to help you and encourage you on your spiritual journey. Wow, what a day, what a day, what a way to celebrate Easter. Thanks for tuning in today. God bless you. Again, hello@bethel.org. He is still risen. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, we are so glad that you joined us today, and we're excited that you're a part of our online community. I just want to remind you about some things that are happening this week. On Thursday night at 7 p.m., we'll be having our all-church prayer meeting. That's on Zoom. If you'll just check the website at bethel.org, you'll find some information about that there, and you'll find the Zoom address that you can just click on and get you right into that meeting. So that's at 7 p.m. on Thursday night. Also want to remind you that if you have a prayer request, we really take that serious. We believe that God answers prayer. And so if you'll just email us at hello@bethel.org, we'll be happy to pray with you about the request and the situations that are on your heart and on your mind. If you want that book that Pastor Frank mentioned today in his message, just send an email to hello@bethel.org. We'll just say, I want that book, and we'll get that book to you just as soon as we possibly can. Some great stuff that's going on. If today maybe you made a decision to follow Jesus or to recommit your life to Christ, or maybe you heard the message, but you're just not sure, you still have some more questions. We have a group on Zoom that's called Starting Point. It's today at 3 p.m. and I'd invite you to join me as I lead that group. It's not a monologue-driven class, but really it's a dialogue-driven class. A lot of give and take, a lot of questions and answers. So we'd love to have that conversation with you, and you're welcome to join us today at 3 p.m. You can find the link for that Zoom meeting at bethel.org, or you can email me, Ryan Wright at ryan.wright@bethel.org, and I'll be happy to send you the address for how you can connect to that meeting. One last thing. This today was the start of our Awaken series, and this will continue on for weeks to come, and we would love to have you to continue joining us on Sunday mornings at 9:15 and 11 as being a part of this series. It's a great start. but it's going to be an even better finish. And so we encourage you to come, join in, be a part of that with us. I just want to say to you, happy Easter today. Pray that your day would be blessed, that you would understand how much God loves you. He loved you so much, he sent his son, and his son loved you so much that when they killed him, he wouldn't stay dead. He came back to life for you. God bless. Happy Easter. He is risen.